look at Flex, obviously, from the user experience and from the manager's experience. But maybe let's start with the front end, the user experience. And the phrase we've been using is building the ultimate core Flex experience. So Nitzan, tell us what is an ultimate core Flex experience, and then maybe when you're ready, let me know, and we'll go into actually sharing the screen and showing a demo.
Let's look at one. Let's look at the ultimate one.
Okay. Okay, so let's see what we've got here.
All right, so we are going to start and look on the employee experience, and how do we create an experience that stands out and works as easy as an Amazon-like experience. And the first thing it's a branded platform, right? And I'm showing here a few companies who working with Benevo and participated in previous client case studies. So just showing the branding, the look and feel. It's powered by Benevo, but it's not really the key thing. The key thing is CGI or Bayer, depends where they are. And here we can also co-deliver with an RMC as we deliver with BGRS. So the solution here we are showing on CoreFlex is one that the corporate can work directly with us or via an RMC. Both options are available for the corporate or the RMC to decide. And similarly, here's how the branding works. So let's look at the employee platform. As part of our core Flex experience, we deliver all the other areas of value that are included in the Benevo experience. So the action hub, the destination, we've looked at that in previous show. We will do a dedicated show in 2 weeks to spend more time on it. But today we want to talk about benefits. The benefits is where I, as the employee, can see that I have 450 points, and I can just go into it and start and see what are the benefits that are available for me to choose for. And one of the hardest things for me is, as the employee, is to make the decision, right? How do I know which services are right for me, what to choose, what not to choose, how to choose my points?
Yeah, and I think the thing that we've seen here is that there's always that fear of missing out. And as Rob's saying, employee choice is great, but having an experienced counsellor assess might be useful. But actually what most people want to know is what other people did. They don't want necessarily someone telling them what to do. They kind of want to know, what did everyone else do, so that they're not missing out.
And that's exactly the experience we brought here, right? So I can see on each of those available services for me, how many points will it cost me if I decide to add those, right? And I can see how many are left and how I'm managing my budget. I can see how many people have selected this service before. So I can see culture training only was selected by 3% of people. But what actually is cultural training? I can read description, and I can see that Tasha had a very, very good experience with this provider. So maybe I should take it because maybe I'm a little bit like her, and I want this practical advice about the location I'm moving to. So I can make those decisions just like we make decisions anywhere else as consumer. We don't just want to see a description of what's available. We want to see what others have done, and that's the experience that we've brought for the first time into CoreFlex. And I can see similarly, let's say I'm looking at a school search, and I have 2 kids. I know how hard it is, so I'm likely to choose that. I can also see that many of my colleagues have selected that, but then I can see that actually the experience has not been good, right? And what Mary here is saying is that it was actually a waste of her time, and she could just find all the information online, right? So I can see it's 35 points. I might want to save some of these points for later. And not choose that. So I don't have to make all my decisions now. I can go between the different categories, choose what I want, and just like we will have a shopping basket on Amazon, I can see a summary, decide if I check out, or maybe come back later, as well as check out for some of it, and can return later to buy what other services we want.
A question that's come in for you, Nitzan, just putting up here from Rob. Do employees get a chance after their assignment is over to provide feedback on what they wish they'd selected?
Surely someone planted that question, right? Absolutely, yes. And that's exactly the next screen I was about to show, is that I can see here the services I've selected. I can see the status of the service. I'll talk about it in a second. And I can even post a review and say, what was my experience with this specific vendor? And that's what we call Pulse surveys. So
this is exactly the way when you're buying something on Amazon, after you've received it, you can go in and you can write a review. So it's exactly the same concept. So the whole thinking behind this Benevo user experience is we're learning from the best of the consumer grade organizations and taking their thinking and bringing it into mobility.
Absolutely. And the experience we created here is very, very easy to use, but it's extremely sophisticated on the back end of that. And I'll talk about the ability to customize that for each corporate needs, to show the relevant vendors that they want, the points, to define a different experience for every population, and even to be able to set points that are calculated on the fly. What do I mean by that? If we have a shipping that is happening between New York to Boston or New York to Sydney, it costs very different. And we can reflect that into the number of points that the employee will need to pay or to dedicate as part of their package based on these variables, based on the family size, the size of the temporary housing they need, etc. So it's a very, very simple interface and easy to use, but there is a lot of complexity behind the scenes.
And another question that's come in from Andy Conduit-Turner: does the platform implement a minimum feedback threshold before showing scores to ensure representative UX ratings?
Yes, exactly, right. We are showing reviews as they come, but in order to calculate the star rating, we are looking to collect enough, and we can aggregate it across different corporates who use the same vendors when there is not enough from the corporate, right? So the experience is always in that aspect adding value. But everyone now knows that this feedback is here and is critical, so it also holds everyone accountable. If I know that my service is going to be chosen according to my ratings, obviously I'm going to be focused on getting the right service that deliver on those 5 stars, because that's what will drive my future business growth. And talking a little bit about those vendor selections, one of the key challenges of the current Core Flex program is that the decision the employee needs to make is a dramatic decision, because it's either I'm going to get this school search support, or I have nothing, right? There is nothing in the middle. And as the employee, that's a scary decision, right? Because what happens if I don't select it? And what happens if I thought, oh, it's easy, and actually when I arrive, I realize that's a pain. And in order to reduce that big decision into a more digestible decision or an easier decision, what we've done is we've added our digital destination as default. So by default, I'm getting support on all the areas of my relocation, including finding a school, with digital solutions available for everyone.
So what we're saying is that we're providing a baseline level of support, so that even for the things that aren't in the core, which are in the flex part, there's still something in the core, effectively. There's still a digital solution that gives them a level of information before they decide which services they want to select. So nobody's left completely without any information.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we move on from the employees making decision, one of the things that I know we've spoken about is there are going to be some employees who just are paralyzed. They can't make a decision. They're concerned about missing out, as I said, all this flexibility without accountability, to use a quote from Erin O'Grady last week. So it's what can we do there? And I know that in addition to being able to build up your package, you can actually reach out to someone and get them to review that package. So in line with Robert's comment earlier, you can get that feedback. It's not just relying on user reviews. You can get someone to review it and say, actually, is this a reasonable allocation of my points?
Yeah, I think it's fair to remember that, employees, it is a very difficult time. Sometimes we forget it because we're professionals in the industry, but for somebody moving, it is very, very scary sometimes, and there is a fear of missing out, FOMO as they call it. But one of the ways to solve that problem, apart from help with the decision, is actually finding out what other people have done before and the user ratings that we have in there. And a comment that's coming from Robert here: can employees receive monetary rebates via Benevo's platform?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So one of the companies who we work with, the way they've implemented it is that for some of the services, they are giving the employee a reimbursement. So the employee can choose that service, let's say pet shipment, and I'll be eligible for $2,000. I go, I have a list of vendors that are available for me, but I, as the employee, make the selection. If it's more than $2,000, I'm only get reimbursed at $2,000. If it's less, I'm going to get reimbursed on the actual amount. They submit the invoice on the Benevo platform. Our machine learning algorithm automatically scan, check it, compare it to the policy rules, and make the repayment instantly. We will talk about that in one of our coming shows to show how exactly that expense management works, but it's a phenomenal experience that consolidate all the different areas into a single platform and in a single also reporting capability.
The general rule with this technology is it's very flexible, so it goes exactly how the employer wants. So if the employer wants the ability to have rebates in there, it's in there. If they don't want the ability to have rebates in there, it isn't in there. It's absolutely personalized to what the employer wants.
Yes, exactly the same with cashing out. Although we've noticed that cashing out was a hot topic to discuss 2-3 years ago, and now no one is, or very rarely we hear companies looking to offer cash out as an option on a core flex program.
Okay, so we've talked about baseline support. I think another area that maybe you're going to come on to, Nitzan, is the whole question of actually enhancing the choice for employees.
Yes, and that's a great story where we learned from one of the corporates who was a very innovative team in their approach. And what they said is, well, the traditional relocation services are great, but especially now as we're looking to support more inclusion and more diversity in our program, how can we cater for more needs of employees without creating exceptions, right? So before that, they were getting a lot of exception requests, and they wanted to see how do we reduce those exceptions but still provide a wider experience, and kind of challenged us into offering a lot more services rather than those services that will be delivered by the industry vendors or via the RMC, such as
so what sort of services are we looking at?
Anything from lifestyle like yoga classes and swimming classes for the children when they move into a new place, to more examples such as ordering a settling in meal, a cleaning service, even getting help with a handyman to help us assemble the furniture that we receive into our property, and basically being able to extend that to a much wider range of services, allowing employees to use their points to the max, and whether that's going to be a support or an opportunity to buy furnish my home, stock my fridge, or get a language learning subscription, etc. Different things that allows me to choose from more options and tailor the experience to my needs. If I have a family, it's one type of experience. If I maybe have an elderly to support, the idea is here to, and if I'm a single moving myself or with a partner, the needs are different. And what the expectations today from the company is to support those needs. So instead of getting more and more requests for exceptions, by adding it under the flex umbrella, basically the employee is the one that make the decisions, and what corporate are seeing is significant increase in employee satisfaction when they are the ones who are in control of what they receive.
Okay, so it can increase choice for employees, and also you can use it for reducing exceptions. I don't know if you want to say a bit about exception management.
Yes, and that's something that we monitor very closely to kind of identify which exceptions are available, are happening, which exceptions are still being approved, and how to constantly identify them and add them where possible into the Flex program in order to help control cost. And we've seen a lot of success by using data there to streamline that experience. So basically reducing the number of exceptions, reducing, improving equality, and allowing people to have the choice to choose between the different services. I want to touch on the point that Beth mentioned of what happens now, right? I've selected those services. If I'm going to now click here, submit, what will happen? And we've built 3 options for what will be the next step. One option is for what will happen next is for the vendors to be initiated automatically. The second option is for this to go into the mobility team for review. If I want to just approve it, I can also decide to have a consultation call with the employee, review it with them, give them further benchmark, and then decide. And the third option is to go to the RMC, who will have a consultation call based on those initial selection with the employee, and again approve it. So
and that ties in very much with some of the comments that that I've seen coming in. There's a comment here: using Core Flex in technology shouldn't necessarily mean there is no human guidance. There can be a huge knowledge gap between an experienced assignee and a newie. Mm-hmm. And I think people are agreeing with that a lot. So, you know,
exactly, and these are the solutions we've put in place that allow the participation of, first, let's give people make their mind, and then let's talk with them after, right? So it's a lot more efficient for everyone involved. I don't need to start the call and as the consultant give the same brief I'm reading from a script like a machine. No, I'm actually adding value as a human in the exact places where a human touch is needed, not on doing the repetitive work that should be done via technology. Yeah. And if I'm going back into this core Flex, right, I can see also my core services. I can see the flexible services that I've selected earlier today, and I can see my pet travel is still waiting for approval. Exactly because someone will talk to me about that before that option is selected. But looking at my core services, let's say I want to see what's available for me under immigration support, and I can learn more, see the process, learn more about the service that is available. I can leave a review as we saw before, or I can see the status. What's going on with this service? What is the status of delivery? And we talked a little bit about that in the past, creating that Uber Eats experience, right? Managing expectations for the employees, helping them identify at every step in live what's the status of my immigration application, who is going to take the next step, who is going to support me with what should I expect, how long will it take. And by doing that and providing this information, we see a dramatic reduction in the number of questions.
I just love this sound. I mean, it's always sort of, you know, pre-Benevo, it's always slightly irked me that you got better technology when you're ordering a pizza than you did when you were ordering a relocation. And this is effectively pizza delivery or Uber technology that is actually telling you where it is in the process.
Well, it also allows us to recognize the expertise of the relocation consultants, of the global mobility team. They don't have to answer process questions. They're there to answer and add value for that individual's decision-making process. So I think it's really good. I love it too.
And let's now jump from the employee experience to the RMC or the mobility team experience. And I'm just switch the platform into the view, the management platform. That's not what the employee sees. That's what the HR manager or the relo consultant will see. And I'm looking at myself at this relocation to Seattle. And I can see the status here. I can see the key information. I can see the status of delivery by different vendors. I can add another service. I can even change the number of points. Let's say, you know, we decided to increase the number of points instead of 450 to 460, exception due to COVID-19. I'll say here update, and let's just see what happened on the other platform. If you remember, we had here 450 and now it's 460, right? So as the employee, I moved back to that step and I can see it's automatically updated there. So just showing how easy it is to change, modify the program if needed, add additional services. If you remember before, my pet travel was not approved yet, I can go here and approve it for the employee, or maybe change their decision after I had a call with them, etc. Or add to them additional services that before were not initiated to them. So a lot of the complexity around managing a core flex program is by offering more choice and managing more services. We are adding complexity, and what the technology actually allows us to do is to remove all this complexity, because the platform identify for us all the things that are happening, the vendors that we need to initiate, any documents that need to be signed. Everything is consolidated into a single place, and even creating a lot of insights and data to help me make the program even smarter. So let's look at some of the data.
Well, I wanted to get onto that. I mean, how can we use data? Maybe Beth, you can come on this too. How can we use data to make the program smarter?
I think we're going to see hopefully some fancy graphics, something prettier. I think there is a difficulty, as I mentioned before, why have lots of companies not introduced a core flex program? And I think one of the biggest barriers to doing that is choosing the right elements to go into your program. And what do you need to make choices? Well, you need data. And knowing that data is out there, and knowing that once you've chosen those elements, getting immediate feedback on who's using what they think of it, so you can flex that program and make it really useful, and show that it's delivering value and delivering the flexibility that you want is key. So if we talk through what the screen's showing.
Yeah, so I think, just to give you a few examples how data can help us make our program smarter. First, we can see what employees are choosing, right? So which kind of services are popular, which ones are not popular. We can analyze the exceptions, as I mentioned before, and see what else we should put inside the program. Perhaps if everyone is selecting a service, we might consider moving it from a flex to a core, etc., making those decisions. We can see the selection by category, by job title, home country, host country, really drill down by any parameter that we want. It's all dynamic, available for me here. I can see how many have been initiated, completed, pending, etc. As well as in the dashboard, I have my to-do list. So how many services I need to update, or my team needs to update, what has been overdue, etc. Key performance, how many points on average employees use, what's the dollar value of that, and then connecting that into the rating, right? So what are the scores that my vendors are getting? I can look only on the flex, or also to add the core, or only on the core, and see what are the scores that these vendors are receiving. I can see immediately here there are a couple of vendors around pet travel, right? We saw before that was under delivering not that well, so maybe it's time to change, or at least to have a chat with them and see what could be improved. I can see here the popularity of the services comparing to the rating. So each service, how popular it is comparing to the rating they receive. Further on, rating by vendors, a lot of insights that our data scientists also help make those decisions and continuously improve the program. I can see what's already inside my program, right? And also benchmark that to other programs and see what maybe I should consider to add or to remove, because these are some of the key decisions, right? Or the key challenges about setting up a policy. What should I have there or not? And I also have here my, if I want to see what would a typical employee will have. So let's say if their job level is in the R&D team, and their host country will be Canada with a family size of 2, I can then see what they will be eligible to, right? So they will be eligible to 186 points or 200 points, depending on their exact job level, and just giving me that information of what am I currently offering, what's available for us on our policies.
And I think getting this information in real time just helps us to have that conversation with the companies as well, what their employees actually doing. So something they might not know until, quarterly reports afterwards or annual reviews, really immediate feedback.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the hour. So Nitzan, Beth, just wondering if there are any final comments on where you saw CoreFlex going and next steps?
Well, I think it's the time to act is now. I think it's finally, there is a way of making it easy. Hopefully that's been shown today. So Nitzan, next steps?
Yeah, I think, the next steps are happening for us as an industry, right? We need to decide, are we going to be reactive to that or going to be proactive in defining our future? There is obviously more need for flexibility, and we've seen 1 in 5 companies already taking actions now in order to introduce CoreFlex policies. And what we will be happy to do is to discuss more, share what other companies are doing, share the insight, connect. Also, there are lots of people at the same stage as you are now that are kind of, I know I need to do something about it, but I'm not sure how to figure it out. And we're just happy to connect, facilitate those conversations, and of course share what's happening, because it's very exciting. It's definitely forward thinking, and the change is happening. So really looking forward to working with many of the people here about the future of mobility and making that easy via CoreFlex.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fascinating. There's no doubt that, and maybe it's a post-pandemic thing, is that everybody is focusing on flexibility at the moment. Maybe it's to do with the great resignation. I don't know what it is. Maybe we've just become more used to using technology over the last 18 months. But something has changed, and certainly every company we're talking to at the moment seems to be looking at flexibility, seems to be on the agenda somewhere in one form or another. Flexible policies or lump sum, or in particular CoreFlex. I said that poll we showed at the outset, I think it was nearly 75%, 73% of people said that a best practice policy should have some form of CoreFlex in it. So anyway, we're at the top of the hour. Let me bring back Julia.
That was really interesting. Yes, so nice to see you as well, Beth, as well.
And so it's great to have everybody here. It's been a great show. And we're going to be back again next week when we have Morgan Crosby of Airing and Michelle Durkin from Benevo. And they're going to be talking about a groundbreaking survey that Airing and Benevo have done on flexibility and mobility. And that's talking much broader than just CoreFlex. It's talking about flexibility in all its form. Anyway, thank you very much for being with us on the show today. It's been great presenting the show. It's been great having everybody here. So goodbye from all of us. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.